Whew, man, it's been a long day. Currently at the University of Oklahoma. Just got done talking to some students about TikTok and fascism. We had a great conversation. I'm gonna have some clips on that coming soon. Don't plan on being live to that long this Wednesday because I got some people I'm looking to rekindle with. My people that I went to school with here in Norman, Oklahoma. I do think that as a public, we're not reacting enough. We're not upset enough for me. A lot of things is happening in this country. We've rallied behind our military going and invading countries for doing far less. When you have Donald Trump talking about using democratic cities, and it's not that it's Democrats, it's that it's black folks and brown folks over there, is that he trying to use his cities as training ground for the military. That sounds like some bad shit to me. You know what I mean? In the conversation about fascism I was having with the students, I wanted to be clear to make it to them that they should not only correlate the existence of fascism in this country with Donald Trump and the Republican Party, and really was able to make folks think about political speech. Now, there's already been people in America that was already having different consequences, repercussions taken out against them because they said things that people disagreed with. We already had people losing their jobs because of statements they were making when Joe Biden was in office. We already had ICE being funded when Joe Biden was in office. We already had a lot of remnants of fascism before Trump took office, but it took him being in office for a lot of y'all to pay attention. I think that because so many of us have been normalized with dealing with different facets of fascism, may it be suppressed speech, may it be our government putting corporations' interests over ours. These are all ways that fascism was really already here. And I think that because so many of us was blinded to the pretty democratic face of fascism, that we really desensitized to a lot of ways that we were already being suppressed and being stomped on. So now that Trump is in office, we have a lot of people now evoking the concept of fascism, and they're ignoring the way that fascism existed before this man was in office. And I think that because we're ignoring that, it's making it where, because we ignored it for so long, it's making it where we're not reacting enough. You know what I mean? To me, I would say we're grossly underreacting to the way that fascism is being accelerated at high levels. By the time Christmas come in, the country that we're living in right now won't be the country in literally 2 months. What do we do with this? Do we still conduct business as usual and act as if, the different freedoms and liberties and rights we're supposed to be able to take advantage of in America is being encroached on? The fact that I was at my alma mater, where I learned about the concept of academic freedom, and when it came to me being critical for how fascism was used with Charlie Kirk's death, I had to be mindful of what I was saying and what I was doing. Not only did it make me feel a certain way, but it reminded me as a black person, I've always had to watch what I say and do because the consequences and repercussions for me taking up my freedom of speech could be very damning. We should be mad about that. We should be upset about that. We had our officials here in America about a year and a half, 2 years ago, lie to us and say they were going to ban TikTok because of national security, because they were worried about how TikTok was sharing our data with the Chinese. And the Chinese was used as a xenophobic dog whistle for us to be discriminatory towards people that come from a different country. And that's all that xenophobia means. Fancy ass word for me. You discriminatory towards people that come from different countries. We were worried about the Chinese government having our data. When you do the research and you see that Mark Zuckerberg and Meta was some of the biggest lobbyists that paid for this anti-TikTok policies to pass, and you see they were also brought onto the hill because they were selling data to the Chinese, you see then it was bullshit. When you have Netanyahu come out, what I'm saying, I guess yesterday, and say that the acquisition of TikTok was a battle and that we no longer fight wars on the battlefield that way and that we now use social media. He said that buying social media was a victory. It showed you that the Democrats and the Republicans lied to us 2 years ago, but it also shows you that the level of fascism that's been happening internationally is something that's always happened. The difference right now is that a lot of Americans are finally being hit with the fascism that we have been unleashing on the country, on the world for a long time. You feel me? For centuries, but I'll say for us, because we, you know what I'm saying, we on the live right now. We ain't been living for centuries, for the past, for decades. For decades. When we dealing with the military coming and terrorizing American citizens and their own community, that's what's been going on. But right now, it's just that too many Americans is just cool with going business as usual, going to the movies, watching the TV, doom scrolling. Whole time, hey, fam, finna impact even how you doom scroll and what you see on what you see on that For You page. And not even just TikTok. When you see companies like YouTube settling with Donald Trump for over $20 million, this where we at, man. Like this, like, man, listen, they taught us that democracy was about freedom of press, freedom of speech. Now, this white man, they had this freedom of press, freedom of speech encroached on. Now we are paying attention. That's good, but we should be mindful that Black women already was losing their jobs for saying things that Donald Trump disagreed with before Jimmy Kimmel lost his job. Like something I talked to the students that really blew my mind is that when you have 18 to 22-year-old white men write political manifestos and go commit mass violence at a church or a school or a theater, it's not seen as political violence. It's seeing prayers and thoughts and condolences, and that's it. You shouldn't politicize it. But another person, you know what I'm saying, get taken out by that same demographic, it's seen as being inherently political. That bothers me. like, like you can't say you didn't like him because he said some things in his life that was very despicable and inhumane. But Donald Trump can say he hates his enemies and he don't wish no good for them. Like being a millennial, remembering that Howard Dean was seen as being unprecedented because he said, whoa, and we're gonna do whoa. And they took him out the race. And now I see Donald Trump being able to do everything he's doing. And everybody's just like, I can't wait for the midterm election. Man, the midterm election is not going to function the way that you used to it functioning because this man has already disrupted precedents in ways that you can't even imagine. Like he created an executive order that made it where if you believe in equality, if you believe in progressivism around race, class, ability, agenda, you are seen as a terrorist of the state. We ain't mad enough. As an American society, Black people, white people, middle class people, poor people, disabled people, goddamn, like we ain't reacting enough, man. Like we acting like passive, docile beings that can't do nothing. And I get the benefit of the doubt. Us as people, you know what I'm saying? We need more of our elected officials to do more than just these TikTok videos on the Capitol. You know what I'm saying? That little speech of you doing 25 hours on the on one, that don't do shit. You know, they passing policies and you making performative positions about standing up to fascism. You'll say that to the public and then you'll go approve one of Donald Trump's, you know what I'm saying? Like that's we not mad enough. And really what it is like the Democrats and the Republicans, they in cahoots, but like the flavor of fashion the Republicans is giving to us is just a little bit more, you know, non-digestible, you know. But it's still Donald Trump is giving a certain level of uniqueness that I think that we got to get in with, you know what I'm saying? Like if we continue to just act as if, you know, we can react to Donald Trump or not react to Donald Trump, and we ignoring how he's changing the landscape. Shit, then listen, if we don't start reacting more before the midterm election, to me, it won't even matter. Like if we don't, if we allow for Donald Trump to do what he want to do, how he want to do, when he want to do it, and we just be like, by the time the midterm election happens, regardless of the turnout, regardless of who goes to the polls, and regardless of the outcome of the polls, it won't really matter because he's impacting the system of checks and balances and separation of power in ways that we have never seen before. So if you think just by being able to go to the ballot, and he said on day one he was going to be a dictator, Like I was forced today by preparing to do this speech with the University of Oklahoma about fashion taking over TikTok. I had to go back and really brush up on my history of fascism with Mussolini and Hitler and all this other shit. And you start to see that the definition of fascism has always been one that is fluid, based off of what regime it is and what point of history we're talking about that impacted the fascism, but it started in Europe. I say that for another live stream, but that mattered to me. But the point is that fascism is so hard to kind of put in the corner that it allows for people to kind of gaslight you and move in like deniable plausibility, where they're able to say any and everything is fascism without calling what actually is fascism that. I didn't appreciate Kamala Harris today saying that Donald Trump was pushing communism and Marxism, whatever the fuck she said, especially because her father was a Marxist scholar. So you know who Marx is. You understand what Marx taught. So you using communism, you feel me, as a catch-all phrase for bad shit, it's like disingenuous and it's done in bad faith. And I also think that it allows for all the bad things that Donald Trump said about Antifa as a thought, anti-fascism as a thought, making it an organization. When former Vice President Kamala Harris say shit like that, I believe it has a negative impact for the political dialogue and how we view people that are being critical of capitalism. You know what I'm saying? Because really, you got a whole bunch of capitalists calling each other Marxists and calling each other communists and shit. And it's like, y'all capitalists, man. Cut the bullshit. But when you have a public that's not really educated and you're able to convince them that you know Marxism and communism and socialism is anything you disagree with, it makes it where we don't know what communism and socialism is. We should be alarmed on that, man. We should be alarmed on that. Like Pete Hassick, whatever his name is, whatever buddy name is that's drunk, that was drunk, and they told him, man, in order for us to approve your nomination, you gotta stop drinking. Like, man, fam is really talking about waging war. This man really talking about waging war. You know what I'm saying? We losing access to healthcare. We getting ICE threatened to go into more cities. It's like, man, we ain't reacting enough. We moving as business as usual. We moving as like it ain't. This is just like, man, like so much that I was engaged with a lot of folks that was doing the FBA shit. You know what I'm saying? But today though, it's like fascism so real that the egotistical shit right now, I ain't got time for it. Because if they have criminalized all notions of blackness, me arguing with you about different iterations of blackness, it doesn't do anything for how blackness as a whole is being criminalized. So we can sit here and fight about all these different various ways that we can define black people and we can mobilize black people. We can argue about that, and some of those things are productive. But it doesn't change that when Donald Trump deploys the military and deploys ICE into your community, us being Hebrew Israelite, being Solon, being Pan-African, being that shit won't matter, man. And just because I recognize that, it'd be a hard time for, you know, it is what it is, man. It is what it is. I got the comments up now, though. So you see what y'all saying. The comments, see. Kamala never had a plan for Black Americans, whatever. Both parties are white supremacy. Robert Pryor says food, music, barbershops, overthrow the window. Yeah, okay, y'all, you know what I'm saying? I don't know how to really engage it overall. What I will say is that as a public, we're not mad enough. We're not reacting to all the ways that decorum, all the ways that even the order, you feel me, in this country just is just dead. Even if I recognize there's a particular hierarchy and order, that shit is just like, it's just season to exist, man. Just a season to exist. Before we discuss the Overton window, we have to get our nation back. I'm gonna keep it a stack with you, Robert Pryor. The reason why we have to discuss the Overton window is because in order for you to build solutions, you got to really understand the problem. You know, and I will argue that there is an inability for people to be able to have a full analysis for how the problem operates. And because you don't understand how the problem operates, it's impacting how you come up with the solution. The Overton window is dictating who we can make exposable and who we can make disposable. Today, I had a conversation with the students here at University of Oklahoma about the Overton window, and I used the example of Ronald Reagan and George Bush discussing Mexican Americans, Latino, and immigration in like the 1990s, and how they were talking about how there were Mexicans in both of their family and how they had immigrants in both of their families and how they believed that immigrants had the right to come to this country and do X, Y, and Z. This is the GOP. It's the same party that MAGA has, you know what I'm saying, reigned on. The Overton window said it was unacceptable to dehumanize and talk about people that come from Latino backgrounds in the way we do now. The Overton window that went so far right, that now we're able to openly talk about breaking up families. If we can't have an analysis for what's going on in politics, it's going to be hard for you to do anything about what's going on in politics. You got to be able to pay attention to what's going on and acknowledge that. Just try ass making the action, being reactionary, it ain't good. You feel me? Being reactionary is not really it's not that really good of a political strategy either. You know what I'm saying? So the Overton window is going to give you the best ability to understand what's happening in our reality to be able to act on it. And you know, that's how I see it. You know what I'm saying? That's how I see it. But let's see if I can put the comments on here, man. See how I do this. I forgot how to do it. Got to do it. Really, what I forgot to do? I forgot to play what I worked so hard on.
Spontaneous percussion.
In conclusion, in this live stream of research over me search, I think that we all should build better definitions of and understandings of what fascism is, understanding the history of fascism and the impacts of fascism, as well as figuring out what we as a society can do for our horrible leadership and how even the people that we have elected to be able to oppose the shit leadership that we have ain't really doing a good job. I think that we'll be able to better take to task both the person that is giving the shitty leadership and the people that's being a shitty opposition to their leadership, take them to task if we know more about what is bad, if we have better ways of indicting what people do. And just, you know, I think having a better framework and understanding of fascism, because everybody using that word, fascism and oligarch, those are the two words that's been used the most, I say, since Trump been in office. And a lot of people don't really know what that means. So, you know, I'm tired today. I got done literally talking 2 hours and to students about fascism and shit. So that's the reason why my energy ain't as high as it usually is. I'm currently at a hotel, you know, here at OU. In conclusion, I'll be fair. I consider myself a very smart person, very informed person. And if you ask me, hey, what do we do right now? I wouldn't even really be able to tell you. Like, I think that we got to get enough people to raise the alarm. Hello? Hello? Yeah, man. I think we need more people to be alert. I know that it's a quote that people say that Harriet Tubman didn't necessarily make, but allegedly she said that she could have saved more people and got them to like run away if she could have convinced them they were a slave. And to me, that means that if I can convince you of your reality that you live in, I can get you to do something about it. And right now, I just think that it's not enough people to see that sees what's going on in our country as being alarming. And I think that if we can get enough people to see what's going on in this country, this is the worst thing that could happen. We have more people that's willing to do something about it. Until then, we just got like sacrificial lambs to be martyrs of the movement. We need numbers, and right now it's just not enough people in America that see what's happening as being a big problem and as being like, you know, an emergency, an impending threat on our realities. And that's just, you know. something we got to grapple with, man. But education is elevation. I appreciate y'all. I promise y'all next Wednesday, you know what I'm saying, it'll be a little bit more, energetic. I won't be traveling, so I have a little more time. Um, man, 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 man.